There are many Bomberman games for the DS, ranging from fairly traditional games with a twist, minigame collection adventures, RPGs, traditional games with a lot of twists, and yet there is one thing they all have in common. They all have virtually the exact same battle mode on them. And I don't mean in the same way that all Bomberman battle modes are similar because we play as multicolored bombers and try to blow each other up. No, I mean same sprites, same menus, same stages, though very slight variance between them. That is because these games, as well as one mystery game I'll get to later, have on them, or straight up are, various iterations of the Bomberman Battle Pack. Various games and their manuals switch off between calling it either Battle Pack or just Battle Mode, often saying it is a Battle Pack that is compatible with other Battle Packs with this logo but not a previous iteration included on other DS games. So what's going on here? Parallel to all of these games, Hudson had a Bomberman battle mode for the DS that they kept iterating on and updating, and they included the latest version of it on each Bomberman game respectively, even taking later international release dates into account. In this video, I intend to explore all the various iterations of the battle pack and see what each version added, removed, or changed. We begin with Bomberman DS. The international box art was changed to match the box art of the Japanese Bomberman Battles that was localized as Hardball in Europe. That's a whole other tangent. And for some reason, in Europe the title font was changed, but not in-game. In-game, the European version still has the original font in the title screen. On the box and cartridge and the manual, the font is different compared to what it was everywhere else. Even later in the manual where it shows you the title screen, the Japanese and North American versions just show the regular title screen, while the European manual shows an image of the changed title font, even though in-game it still has the old font. Weird oddity I wanted to put somewhere. Oh, and if you're wondering why in this footage the picture is smaller than what would fit on my console's screen, I made a separate little video detailing how to run DS games on their original resolution on 3DS consoles. Bomberman DS is noteworthy for being a game that uses the oval design for the character, and much of the developers working on the land games and other landy spin-offs like Kart and Hardball also made this game. Its music also sounds way more like something out of a land game, one track even reappearing in Bomberman Land Portable later on. It is a simple campaign of 100 levels that kinda revives the whole inventory idea Bomber Boy had going on, and it has a battle mode. Now, this battle mode is never referred to as Battle Pack, but the later Battle Pack proper is an iteration on DS's battle mode, so this one can be considered a forerunner or Battle Pack 0, if you will. From the title screen, we can pick the campaign or the battle mode with this icon here. In case you don't know what download play is on the DS, I made another separate video briefly explaining the concept. I should mention, some games on the DS do require everyone to have a cartridge, or if everyone has a cartridge, you don't have to download from each other, so that saves some time, but there's no real well-established name for that I could find. The back of this box calls it multi-cart, so I'm just gonna call it multi-cart play to contrast with download play. Upon selecting battle mode, we see that we are hosting. There is no option to see if anyone else is hosting, which means that, yes indeed, Bomberman DS supports download play, but not multi-cart play. Even if everyone playing has a cartridge of the game, it's worthless because every player besides the host can only join the game by closing theirs, going to their console's download play menu, and downloading from the host. There is no way around waiting for the game to download before you're able to play with your friends. The color of the menu background is actually based on what you picked as your favorite color on your console, even if you're a participant and not the host. And I'll mention here the font on a lot of the buttons was changed between North America and Europe. Up to 8 people can play together, the host plus 7. The host can also start without other people, and with or without other people, the host can add AIs. Up to 8 players total. AI difficulty can be normal, easy, or hard. Player colors are white, black, red, blue, green, yellow, pink, and cyan in that order. Optionally, you can play with teams, in which case every player starts in their own team and can be moved to any other team, though a team can't have more than 4 players in it. Oddly enough, you can move a player out of their starting team and then put 4 other players players in it, so those 4 players will have the color that originally someone else had. And yes, people in the same team will have the same color in the matches. When playing with other people, the host chooses their own team and AI players' teams, but participants choose their own team too, which can lead to some disagreements. Then we get to the stage select, and can set our handicaps, or power-ups for individual players to start with perhaps more variety than you'd expect. Fire Up, Bomb Up, and Speed Up are here, and Full Fire, but so are Bomb Down, Fire Down, and the Sandal, or Speed Down. You can even give a player both Bomb Up and Bomb Down for some reason. Normally the Power Downs are useful in stages that automatically start you off with some power-ups. We then have, in a different color, Special Bomb power-ups. Remote Bomb, Penetrating/Piercing Bomb, it never had a consistent name, Power Bomb, Landmine, and Jelly Bomb. Only one can be equipped at a time, just as in-game picking one up will remove the one you had previously. We then have Kick, Throw, Punch, Line Bomb, and Shield. The latter 3 use the same button, so we can only equip one of them at a time. In some stages, you may find question mark power-ups, which can be any power-up, including a skull if you have it turned on. Luckily, the voice will tell you what you just picked up. Skull Bomb power-ups do also appear, though you can't handicap them. Kicking 2 bombs together will turn them into a Skull Bomb. One little oddity I noticed is that if you set handicaps, go back to stage select, move to a different stage, and select handicaps again, your previous settings will have been removed and you have to start from scratch. But if you set handicaps, return to stage select, move away and back to the same stage, your settings will be preserved. Another little oddity I just wanted to put somewhere. Upon selecting a stage, we can finally set the match rules. There are no sliders, only buttons, so if we want to set the match to a 1-set match, we have to dial it all the way up to 9 for it to reset back to 1. We can't just go down from the starting 2. Little minor annoyance there. Sets go from 1 to 9, time goes from 1 to 9 minutes in 1-minute increments. Tie break sets whether or not the stage is slowly filled with hard blocks once the timer reaches 40 seconds left, filling both screens from the bottom up. Oh, and don't bother trying to hide in the tunnels between the screens, those are filled up as well. Slots determines whether or not we get a short little slot machine before each set that may or may not start everyone off with some extra power-ups. Revenge determines whether or not we can chill in a revenge cart when we're defeated to throw bombs in the stage. If set to super, you can get back into the set if your bomb thrown from the outside hits someone. I'll mention here the revenge carts are locked to the bottom edge of the stage, so you can only throw bombs in from the bottom. Also, you can only see your own cart. If someone else is in a revenge cart, they won't show up on your screen. You will see bombs flying in from the bottom though. To throw a bomb from the revenge cart, you use the touch screen. It can be pretty difficult to aim correctly how far you want to throw. One last thing to note is that you can shout into your microphone, make one constant sound for about 1 second, and that turns your bomb into a skull bomb, or dangerous bomb. It still only has 1 range, but still pretty cool if you have access to this from a revenge cart. Revenge carts are disabled once Hurry Up starts. Position determines your spawn location relative to your player number. You can either spawn in the place designated for your player number or randomize it, so you swap your spawn location for another player's. It's never completely random across the stage though. Skull determines whether skull power-ups occur in the stage, with a host of negative effects. You have a purple outline if you're affected by a skull, and you can pass them to other players, but you won't see on your screen whether another player currently has a skull. One pretty unique thing in this game, shared across all iterations of the battle pack, is that you cannot immediately place a bomb when the match starts. You simply don't place a bomb if you try to. I guess it's good for new players who would otherwise blow themselves up right away. You can only place a bomb after having moved 1 spot away from your spawn tile. You can move back to your spawn tile and then place a bomb if you want to, but, well, it isn't recommended. On the summary screen, if we choose to go back, it takes us all the way back to the character screen, so that's a hassle if you just wanted to change one setting. I should mention there are 2 main music tracks. The menu music, also used in the victory screen, and the battle music, using the melody introduced in Generation. Okay, what stages do we have? Normal is pretty upfront. As alluded to, the game is played across both screens with tunnels in between. Players spawn in the corners of each stage. Classic looks the same, but only allows for fire up, bomb up, speed up, and kick power-ups. Personally, I think if you're going for Classic, then you shouldn't have kick either, but maybe that's just me. It also deactivates a bunch of stage settings, as do many of these stages. Voice Detonate starts everyone off with a remote control, and then you need to shout into your DS microphone to detonate your bombs. You can't handicap other bomb types or pick up power-ups to change your bomb type. The stages that use the microphone are all bright blue. In Voice Bomb, you use the microphone to place bombs. In Voice Shield, you use the microphone to raise your shield power-up. Scream in agony when you're trapped, and you might yet survive. Everyone starts off with a shield, and this can't be knocked out of them like a regular power-up. Shield starts everyone out with a regular shield that, again, you can't lose from being hit. Skull is a graveyard-themed stage, with lots and lots of skulls everywhere. The only stage where Skull is always turned on and can't be turned off. Mystery Items has only question marks appearing as power-ups. Speedy has a traffic aesthetic and starts everyone off with lots of speed-ups. Tunnels is quite yellow, as are all stages themed after tunnels, and has a bunch of these tunnels to hide yourself and bombs in. Unipass has only one tunnel connecting the two screens. Tripass has exactly 3 tunnels connecting the two screens. Conveyor Belt is blue, as are the more gimmicky stages, and has a bunch of conveyor belts to send bombs around. Only 2 tunnels connecting the screens. Trapdoors has these holes to walk into, transporting you to the hole in the same spot on the other screen. Useful, especially since there are no tunnel connections between the screens. Kick starts everyone with a kick and has these arrows that change the directions of kicked bombs. Also has a few tunnels. Seesaws has these seesaws that can fling bombs and players. Don't fling yourself out of the stage, there's no world wrap. Full Power is a purple stage and starts everyone off with a bunch of set power-ups. Lots of Items is also purple and has a ton of power-ups and a few power-downs in the center of each screen. First one to the middle can pick them all up. Mini is the only stage that is on just one screen, the other 4 players spawning farther inward. Notably, since Hurry Up still starts when 40 seconds are left, and there is less stage to fill with hard blocks, they appear at a slower pace compared to other stages. Inferno is a completely open stage with no hard blocks. At this point, the Japanese manual runs out of page space, so Stages Part 1 is done, and on the next page is Stages Part 2. But the North American manual retains this in a non-fitting way. Inferno is still the last stage in Part 1, but there's still room on the page, so Part 2 starts on the same page and continues on to the next page. Just thought I'd point that out. Spikes has the same aesthetic as the Skull stage, but instead of hard blocks, we have panels with spikes that turn on and off. Tread carefully. Crown Battle starts us all off in a castle at the bottom row, and the first one to reach the crown wins. If only one person remains, all soft blocks are destroyed, revealing their power-ups, so the last player can get to the crown unobstructed. If the last player dies too, or time runs out, it's a draw. The crown can be bombed around, though cannot be bombed out of the stage. Full Power Crown has everyone start with tons of power-ups, and we have spikes in place of hard blocks. Merry-Go Crown has some conveyor belts on the top screen, making it just a bit harder to chase the crown down. Blocks is our panel paint mode from past games. Color panels in by bombing them, and have the most in your color when time ends or when everyone is knocked out. Your panels stay colored even if you're knocked out. And the bombs you throw in from the revenge card also color the stage, so don't give up even if you're hit. Kick blocks works much the same, but everyone starts with a kick and the arrows redirect kicked bombs again. In Zombie, you can't be knocked out of the stage, but if you take a hit, all the panels in your color will revert to gray. In Bomb, there are 4 holes that shoot bombs out occasionally. We then have Barum. Not the first time they're called Barum instead of Balum or Valcom or Drifty. Enemies will spawn across the map and you need to watch out for them. Finally, the random option. You can still choose the number of sets, and a set will always be 2 minutes, but everything else is randomized. You could end up on any stage. This gives us a total of 29 stages, 30 if you want to count random. Not sure where else to put this, but if a human participant disconnects, they will die on everyone else's screen. They will still appear at the beginning of every set though, only to die immediately. After a match, you're booted back to the character screen, so that's when the game decides to remove disconnected participants entirely. If all human participants disconnect, then the host will will get a connection error, even if there were AI opponents in the match that the host could have continued the match with. And at the end of the match, if one person chooses not to continue, all other participants get a connection error and the host is booted back to the title screen. Everyone has to re-download from the host again, so it's actually more courteous to disconnect in the middle of a match rather than wait until it's done. Well then, that's DS's battle mode. Out of curiosity, I tried it, and no other version of the battle pack can connect to somebody hosting from DS. There is no cross-compatibility between different iterations of the battle pack, and DS doesn't support multi-cart, so you can only play together with download play. In our next DS game, Bomberman Land Touch 1, we have the introduction of the Bomberman Battle Pack proper. For its part, Land Touch is part of the Land series, so we play as Bomberman exploring a theme park that mainly consists of minigames. We can even play these minigames with other people. And we run into a similar problem here that the minigames support download play but not multi-cart play. So even if your friend has a cartridge, you have to tell them to shut down the game, go to the console's home menu, and select download play to download from you. All fine and good, and the battle pack is found here in the main menu. Upon selecting, it reminds us to use buttons for it. Yeah, Land Touch is played exclusively with the touch pen, and the battle pack is played exclusively with buttons. Even though the battle mode of Bomberman DS could be navigated with both. A little weird, why didn't they just let us use the touch pen in the battle pack if we felt like it? Hold up, it says here it's compatible with other games that have this icon. But if we're outside of Japan, then this is the only game with the icon, so what's this about? Well, in Japan, we later got Bomberman Story DS, which has the same battle pack on it. Meanwhile, the European release of Story DS has something else on it. Bomberman Story DS is an adventure RPG that is really tedious to play through and is arguably the worst Bomberman game, at least I think so. It consists of just the campaign. There is no internal multiplayer mode of its own, just the battle pack. The battle pack is the second option in this menu past the title screen. JP Story DS is nice enough to tell us to use buttons here, even though we probably already were. Must have been a leftover from this program also being on Land Touch 1. Meanwhile, the European version of Story DS starts up Battle Pack 2, which we will get to soon enough. The Japanese manuals of Land Touch 1 and Story DS both have an explanation of the battle pack, and fun fact, Land Touch 1 had a re-release 2 years later under the Hudson the Best label. The data on the cartridge is the same, still Battle Pack 1, but the manual and back of the box go out of their way to explain that it is incompatible with Battle Pack 2, which was out at the time of this re-release. The formatting is different between what Story DS and the Land Touch 1 re-release have, and the North American and European translations of it in Land Touch 1 use the same text across regions, though they are also formatted differently. But okay, let's verify our cross-compatibility. The back of Land Touch 1's box mentions there is both download play and multi-cart play here. Too bad the multi-carts doesn't apply to the minigames. All games that have this icon are the Japanese, North American, European, and Korean, yes, Korean versions of Land Touch 1, and the Japanese version of Story DS. We can run all 5 of them, and if one of them is hosting, the others can find them and join. All 5 games have the exact same program included, just in different languages and on different cartridges. Alright, so what do we got? Well, DS's gimmick of having your favorite color determine the background color is gone. Now we always have this background, and we have a main menu. Instead of immediately hosting and then continuing without someone connecting to play alone, we can simply choose single player to play alone. In multiplayer, we have the choice of recruiting, which is hosting a game, seeing if someone else is hosting, and DS download play. Huh? I thought it supported both now. Well, it does support both, but not at the same time. So, say you have 2 friends. You have a game, your first friend has a game, your second friend does not have a game and uses download play. When you choose recruiting to host, game friend can find you and connect, download play friend cannot. If you choose Download Play Friend will be able to find you in their console's Download Play menu, but Game Friend will not be able to find you when looking to see who's hosting. The only way for all three of you to play together is for you to tell Game Friend to shut down their game, go to their home menu, and go to Download Play. Even if you and 6 other friends have cartridges, if the 8th player doesn't have one, you have to choose DS Download Play and everyone else has to download from you. Might have something to do with this battle pack tracking your wins and losses, but more on that later. The host can still add AIs in the character screen, easy, normal, hard, but the team setup has changed a bit. Instead of there being 8 teams, there are only 4 on the top screen here, and a space for players who are playing individually. With a maximum of 8 players, you don't need more than 4 teams, if leaving people out makes them play individually on their own team. So it's just a way of making things more streamlined, I guess. I'll also note here that we are no longer using Oval Bomberman. From now on, it's just classic vertical eye Bomberman. Also, human participants don't choose their teams anymore. Only the host can change people's teams. And the color of the teams is determined by the lowest player number among the team members. So if white is in a team, the whole team will be white. If black is in a team, everyone will be black, unless white is also added to the team, and so on. There's a new menu music. We find ourselves in a much similar stage select screen, where we scroll through stages. Upon selecting one, we notice the rule options have changed a bit. We can now turn each option up and down, so if we want to set the time down, we no longer have to keep pressing the button to turn it up until it overflows to a smaller time. Thank you very much for this. A few things have been removed. Slots is gone. Sorry, slot machine. You were fun, but I guess they deemed you unnecessary. The skull option is also gone. Put a pin in that one, we'll get to that. We do have a few additions. There is now a battle method option where we can choose between trophies and score. Trophies is our regular mode where if you win a set, you get a trophy, and if you get as many trophies as you determined in the sets option here, you win the match. The other battle method is score. In score mode, everyone gets points at the end of a set. I have not fully explored what actions or events determine how many points you get, but generally if you win the set, you get more points. Points carry over between sets, so it's not just about winning sets, but rather about getting the most points over the course of multiple sets. The one with the most points at the end of the match wins, and you play exactly as many sets as you determined in the set option. So this is a good option if you don't want the match to last forever from constantly getting draws. Put sets at 3 and you will play exactly 3 sets and then somebody wins. Tiebreak has been renamed Sudden Death. It also starts a bit later, at 30 seconds left in the clock instead of 40. With less time, the blocks fall at a faster rate. Also, the music gets faster when Hurry Up starts. Position is here, unchanged. Revenge is back, and we no longer use the touch pen to throw bombs. We now move across the bottom of the screen and use the D-pad to move a reticle to throw bombs into the stage. Also, our microphone gimmick is gone. No more skull bombs from the revenge carts. Power down determines whether or not bomb downs, fire downs, and sandals appear in the stage. This option is new compared to DS, but more of a consolation prize. We'll get to it. Finally, handicap is here in the rule settings instead of in the stage select, and appears as an extra screen before the confirmation screen if we turn it on. Here in the handicap screen, we can still give each player up to 6 power-ups, but where'd all the power-ups go? We have bomb, fire, speed, and kick. That's it, nothing else. Power downs do still appear in the stages, if we turn them on, but we can't start players off with them anymore. Not that there was much of a reason to outside of full power stage or speedy, but yeah, these 4 power-ups and the optional power downs are the only panels that can appear in the stage. What happened? No more full fire, remote bomb, penetration bomb, power bomb, landmine, jelly bomb, throw, punch, line bomb, or shield. That's 10 power-ups. Combine that with the fact that there are no skulls, no skull bomb power-ups, and the question mark panels are also gone. We have gotten rid of 13 of the 20 panels that can appear, leaving us with just 7. There might be a reason for this, more on that later. On a side note, 2 bombs kicked together no longer turn into a skull bomb. They just fuse into one regular bomb. Bomberman no longer shouts out every power-up he picks up. Instead, we have a range of sound effects that play when we pick something up. I'll mention here, if you're playing single player, and then if you die and either revenge is off, or you reach hurry up, which turns revenge off, the game has the courtesy of speeding up the AI battle that ensues, so you don't have to wait around as long. Relevant for multiplayer, we can actually emote to the other players. Press R to cheer and L to boo. The sound will be sent to everyone in the session. I am only recording the audio of the top left console here. Alrighty, what stages do we have? Normal has not changed very much. The tunnels connecting the screens do look ever so slightly different. One noteworthy change is that we have a different music track for these first few stages. Mini-Mini is back, and now takes place on the bottom screen instead of the top screen. Again, the block dropping speed at Hurry Up is adjusted to match the smaller stage, and for just 30 seconds instead of 40. Unipass is no longer yellow, but green just like the normal stages. Same goes for Tri-Pass. Tunnels is yellow again, though mainly because we have a desert cactus theming now. Kick, being no longer blue, maintains the desert theming and has a different layout for the arrows. It also no longer starts everyone out with the kick. Either handicap them or go looking for one in the stage. Conveyor belts has not changed much, outside of being green again, having a more technology-looking middle section and introducing a new music track. Spikes is back, unchanged with the lantern setting. Full power is now also green. It starts us off at max power-ups for what this battle pack allows, and now has soft blocks for some reason. It also brings back our Generation Battle Mode melody in a new rendition here. Crown Battle is back, and the crown is no longer a panel. It looks more like, well, a crown. Some of the textures have been slightly changed, and we have our special Crown Battle music. Full Power Crown and Merry-Go Crown are fairly unchanged. Trapdoors is no longer blue, but instead has a Greek ruins aesthetic, I think. And popcorn soft blocks, using a music track we had earlier for the more gimmicky stages. Inferno is unchanged. Speedy is also unchanged and uses the generation music again. Lots of items hasn't changed aside from being green now, and we can clearly see just how many power-ups they removed. Bomb has returned, now with a new high seas ship with cannons aesthetic. Music is our gimmicky stage music again. Our 3 panel paint stages are back. Blocks, kick blocks, and zombie. Mostly unchanged. Kick blocks even has the exact same layout of arrows, though it doesn't start us off with a kick like it did in DS. Another new music track just for our block stages. Last but not least, random could end up as any stage. It randomly chooses a stage before letting us change the settings on the match instead of after, giving us a total of 20 stages, 21 if we're counting random. What? DS had 30 options. What happened to those other 9 stages? Well, Classic's main gimmick was that we only have 4 power-ups, exactly the 4 that appear in this pack if we turn off power downs, so making a separate Classic stage makes no sense now. There's no microphone gimmick for revenge carts, and in fact there is no microphone usage at all in this pack, so the 3 stages that used the microphone are gone. The shield power-up is gone, so the stage that starts you off with a shield is gone too. Without skulls, a stage themed around skulls makes no sense. Same goes for the question mark stage. The punch and throw that threw bombs in the air are gone, and so is the seesaw stage that flung bombs around. Barum is gone too. Sorry, Barum. Remove all those stages, mix around the order a bit because, I don't know, and there we go. Those are our stages in Pack 1. Overall, this is looking like a serious downgrade compared to DS. I mean, they ditched a bunch of stages and a whole bunch of power-ups. The bigger variety in music and stage aesthetics is cool, but there is one very significant addition I haven't mentioned yet, and it's right here in the main menu. Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Pack 1 can be played online. with some effort. I'm recording in 2022 and Nintendo servers are long down, but there is a fan server you can connect to if you put in the right primary and secondary DNS in your internet settings. Also, you need to make sure you've set up a Wi-Fi network that DS consoles are compatible with, which is easier to do when hotspotting from a phone if you don't want to mess around with your router. I'll try and put a video in the top right corner right now on how to get your DS connected to the internet. But assuming we got all that set up, after connecting once, we get a friend code so other people can add us as a friend. And the pack even tracks things like wins and losses against certain friends, which might be why it keeps multi-card play and download play separate. It tracks your wins and losses against players who have a cartridge. But okay, let's go in and see what options we have. Nice internet menu music. We can play with friends, and from what I can tell, everyone has to have each other added for this to work. Here, 2 consoles have added each other, but the third has added the first while nobody has added the third, and while these 2 can find each other, the third isn't connecting with the others. Might also be that my connection isn't working too well. Battling with rivals pairs you with people in your skill level based on wins and losses and stuff. This third option matches you with people in your region. The North American version says country, while the European version says continent, even though the European manual still says country for some reason. And we can choose to play with anyone worldwide. Realistically speaking, virtually nobody is playing this in 2022 when I'm recording this, so if you are trying this with a friend, don't bother with friend codes. Just both choose randos worldwide at the same time and you will end up together. Functionally, there is no difference which option we choose. Up to 4 human players can connect. If just 2 or 3 are in the lobby and nobody else shows up, then the session will start. Players 5 to 8 will always be AIs, and there will be more AIs if only 2 or 3 human players showed up. And at least in my games they were always set to easy. We can't set them ourselves. And now we find ourselves in a stage select lobby. Each player chooses a stage, and the stage is chosen by majority vote or randomly between the choices. There is no way to host to choose a stage and set the rules. You can only end up in a lobby like this. Available stages are, well, everything we have in Pack 1 except the crown and paint stages. Everything else is available here, including random, so 15 choices. If you choose random, the lobby will assign a random stage as your choice, and then one of the player's choices is selected. From what I've played on it, we always have score rules, not trophy. Always 3 minutes, unless it's mini-mini where it's 2 minutes. Sudden death on, position random, revenge super, power downs are on, and the handicap is off. You cannot change these options. We then have a mostly regular Bomberman match, save for the lag, though that could just be my connection. Perhaps connecting 2 or 3 consoles through a hotspotting phone isn't such a great idea after all, but it served its purpose. We can still cheer and boo to everyone else in the session. After a match, we can select stages again. The session ends when enough people leave, or get connection errors, and there's only 1 human player left. On the topic of disconnecting players, locally or through the internet, I think, if 1 person disconnects, they will remain in the match, and even when the match ends, they will still be there, forever taking up a spot and immediately dying at the start until the session ends. Alright, so why did they get rid of so many power-ups for this one? Well, the online might have to do with it, though we really don't know for certain. Going back a bit, there were plenty of Bomberman games that could be played online in some capacity or another, but as for a Bomberman game that can be played online worldwide on a streamlined service, you might think of Act Zero. Insert lol edgy reboot meme joke here, which ran and runs on Xbox Live worldwide. It has been theorized that Act Zero has so few power-ups compared to earlier games to make the netcode simpler. If players are throwing and punching bombs all over the place and this needs to be synced worldwide in 2006, maybe that was too difficult or too expensive to figure out, so they removed power-ups for that one. It's just a theory, but Battle Pack 1, releasing on LandTouch 1 just a few weeks before Act Zero, would be the first Bomberman game to run online worldwide on a streamlined service, Nintendo Wi-Fi Connect, at least if we're going by original Japan release dates. And it also has very few power power-ups compared to its predecessor. No one can say for certain, so do share your thoughts and all that stuff. Finally, just for posterity, here I am hosting Battle Pack 1 and trying to connect with every other Battle Pack. It's not working. Different iterations are not cross-compatible. Onwards, we move to Bomberman Battle Pack 2, with a new redesigned logo. Pack 2 first appeared on Bomberman Land Touch 2. Land Touch 2 is quite similar to Land Touch 1. We explore a theme park and beat minigames. We can play minigames with other people, and this time there is an option in-game to see if someone else is hosting. The minigames support multi-cart play and download play at the same time. So I'm hosting here, one console running the game can connect, another console using download play can connect, everyone can play together without a hitch. Well, there is one oddity worth pointing out. If I'm hosting from the European version, the North American and Japanese versions won't find me hosting. DS games aren't region restricted for the purposes of running them on various consoles, but these regional releases are not cross-compatible with each other. Might have something to do with there being different publishers in different regions. They are shown when booting the game, so technically the data is different on each cartridge. So if you and a friend find yourselves with two cartridges and trying to play together and you are hosting, if your friend's cartridge is from a different region, you have to tell them to shut down the game and use download play. Okay, that rant out of the way, Battle Pack 2 is here in the main menu. It does not tell us to use button controls when we boot it, as Pack 2 can be navigated with both buttons and touch controls again. Nice. Bomberman Story DS has been introduced, but this time it is also released in Europe, but not North America, but trust me, you're not missing out on much. And this European release has Pack 2 on it. Interesting situation with the manual here. In Japan, Pack 2's manual was only included in Land Touch 2. In English-speaking regions, that manual is in Land Touch 2 and Story DS, and there are two different English translations of it, phrasing things slightly differently. While EU Story DS uses the same in-game images that JP Land Touch 2 did, NA Land Touch 2 uses different images. Also, where North America points out Pack 2 isn't compatible with Pack 1 on Land Touch 1, European Story DS points out it isn't compatible with Pack 1 included on Land Touch 1 and other games, which is what it says in the Japanese manual, but outside of Japan, Pack 1 wasn't included on any other games besides Land Touch 1, so North America corrected it for the region while Europe didn't. And where Land Touch 2 has this image of a top hat and glasses from Star Bomber who appears in the game, EU Story DS changed it to this little Bomberman looking up at us. Okay, enough with the manuals. Booting Pack 2, we find ourselves in a brand new main menu, with scrolling Bomberman heads in the background. Remember that one, it's gonna be important later. New music too. Let's go ahead and test cross-compatibility. Here I am running Pack 2 on European Story DS and Japanese, North American, and European Land Touch 2. When one of them hosts, the others can connect. There was no separate option to host for download play this time, because it's not separate anymore. Without backing out, another console can connect through download play. Finally, we have multi-cart play and download play at the same time and across all regions. Checking out our options, we have our wins and losses, friend code, and roster for the online. Ranking, we'll get to that. We can set a name here now. The game will default to whatever you set as your name on the console, just like the earlier packs, but now you can also set a name to be saved on the cartridge if you want. Setting controls is a new addition. Remap buttons to your liking. We also see that our emotes have changed. Our cheering has been changed to a clapping sound. We can still boo, and we have the option to scream, so make sure to spam that as much as possible. Here are the sounds back to back in Pack 1 and Pack 2. One extra option is Auto Bomb, which determines whether you can simply hold down the bomb button and you'll place a bomb as soon as your last one explodes, and you have access to one, instead of having to time your bomb placement or mash the button to place a bomb at the earliest possible moment. Under My Rules, we can set a default rule set. We'll get to the rules. Let's get a game started. Menu layout has changed a bit, and we, or the host in multiplayer, now have the option to fill all remaining player slots with computers in one fell swoop. Setting it Hit multiple times will change their difficulty or turn them all off again. In addition to easy, normal, and hard, we can now set computers to super easy. Instead of a separate menu, Team Select is now a separate tab next to the character screen. The way we place characters has slightly changed. We can just choose where to put them instead of cycling through, but not much else. The stage select screen no longer forces us to scroll through all of the stages to get to the one we want. 20 stages are here, plus the random option, and we can simply select them by touching one with a touch pen. Thank you so much. The stages are color-coded here based on the type of battle that is fought in them. There is an extra tab here for stage size, which can be set to large or small. Large stages span both screens, while small stages are only on the bottom screen. Indeed, every single stage has two variants now. The mini stage from earlier packs has now morphed into a variant instead of a separate stage. You could argue this pack has 40 stages instead of 20. Moving on, our rule sets have been expanded again. Trophy and score options are back, and this time we can actually check what actions and events affected our score after every set. Thank you. Time and position hasn't changed much. Tiebreak/sudden death has been renamed pressure blocks, and it changes depending on whether we're playing on a large or small stage variant. On a large variant, it starts at 40 seconds left, and the blocks circle around the stage now instead of filling it up bottom to top. They also stop falling and leave a section in the middle after some time. They don't fill the entire stage. In a small stage, they start at 30 seconds. Also circling around, and this time they do fill the entire stage. Revenge is back, but this time it's only on or off. There's no super setting, although the super setting has become the on setting. Okay, so in past games, if it was off, there are no revenge carts. If you're dead, you're dead. If it's turned on, dead players can still throw bombs from the carts, but it doesn't bring them back, it just kills other players. Set it to super, and if your bomb thrown from the outside hits someone, you're back in. Here in Pack 2, turning revenge off is normal. If you're dead, you're dead. If you turn it on, then when you die and get on a cart, your bombs will bring you back into the stage if you hit someone. Pack 2 skips the middle ground on setting from past games, so there's only off and super, and this super has been renamed to on. Hope that makes sense. Really odd of them to remove an option. Also, revenge bombs are yellow now. We can toggle power downs, and we see that the speed down is no longer a sandal, but a skates with an arrow, more in line with the bomb down. Poor Sandal, you will be missed. I mean, fire down got to stay as a blue flame, what gives? On the topic of power-ups, you may have noticed throwing bombs was in the control set screen. That's right, the glove is finally back so we can throw bombs around again. And this time, World Wrap is back too, so throw them around the world. Penetrating bombs are back too, finally. We're still a long shot from having everything DS had though. Finally, we can toggle skulls again. Picking up a skull will cause a negative effect, and will make your character appear all dizzy, as well as have a skull above you. Pass it on to someone else and you will see they are affected by the skull. They'll appear dizzy too, though without a skull above them. That only appears on the player's own screen. Skulls are no longer passed on and removed from the original carrier. They are shared among everyone who touched, so all can join the fun. Skull bombs are back if 2 bombs are kicked together, but we still don't have the skull bomb power-up panel. In our tab next to the set rules, we can set handicaps. Up to 6 power-ups. Fire up, bomb up, speed up, kick are back, joined by the glove, piercing bombs, and heart. They didn't even have that in DS. Hearts, which allow you to tank a hit, only appear here in the handicap screen. They can't be found in stages. Our character sprites have also been changed. They appear yet larger and a bit more rounded than in Pack 1. Okay, what stages do we have? Normal has not changed very much. As mentioned, Mini has become Normal's small variant. There is a new rendition of the Generation battle music, which is now played in every stage that uses standard survival rules. Tunnels has been renamed to Pipes, has a few tunnels added in the center of each screen, and the small variant is just half of the large variant. Aesthetic-wise, we have brick walls. Conveyor Belt has an addition of 2 tunnels in the middle connecting the inner belts. The small variant has just 4 belts. Full power hasn't changed much, aside from us now having the extra power-ups of piercing bombs and the glove. Spikes is back, now sporting a ninja house aesthetic. Trapdoors is here, taking place in a different ninja house. The teleporters are not in the corner corners anymore, but in the top, bottom, right, and left center of each screen. They no longer take you to the same door in the opposite screen, but in the one mirrored from it across the gap between screens. So the right door takes you to the other right door, but the topmost door takes you to the bottommost door. The small variant has two disconnected rooms split across the middle. Again, the doors lead you to the other door mirrored across the split, so the leftmost door takes you to the rightmost door. Speedy is back, with no particular changes. Infernal also hasn't seen too many changes. Lots of items has returned, and we can see the skull and other items they re-added. The small variant has an interesting solution to accommodate for the inner spawning players. We then have a new stage called Mobius. All crossover fanfiction is canon now. On a chessboard-looking stage, Mobius's main gimmick is to have extra passages on the right and left that wrap back around to the other side. Slip sliding has ice physics, everyone's favorite. In an ice-snow area, if you walk one direction, you can't stop until you hit a wall. You can change direction towards a wall or soft block to stop that way, though. Kick has been renamed to Just Kick, and there are no more tunnels aside from the connecting ones. It takes place on one or two soccer fields, and it starts you off with a kick this time. The arrow positions are randomized instead of being the same every time. Blocks is back, but this time, instead of keeping your colored blocks when you die, you lose them and get revived. So really, it's the zombie stage from Pack 1. Zombie has been renamed to Blocks, and Blocks has been removed. We have a new rendition of Pack 1's Blocks music. Dark Blocks works much the same, except that it takes place in darkness. If one of your bombs explodes, it shows you the whole stage for a split second. Your field of view is increased the more of the floor you have painted in your color, which also means that, as we're using zombie rules again, if you die and respawn, you lose your panels and are left in the darkness. Stars takes place in this space station, and uses the new Stars rule set, meaning there are a bunch of star panels hidden in the stage, and you need to collect as many as possible. Whoever has the most when time is up wins. Stars are indestructible, and if you die, you respawn immediately, but your stars are scattered around the stage. The music used for the more gimmicky stages in Pack 1 sees a new rendition here. Dark Stars is quite similar to Dark Blocks, except that our field of view increases by collecting stars. Escape takes place in what looks like Greek ruins. Somewhere in the stage there are a key and an exit gate. Find and pick up the key, run to the gate, and you win. No respawning. If you die, you're out unless you have revenge on, and the key can easily be taken from other players by bonking them or just running into them. We have a new rendition of the music used for more normal stages in Pack 1. Skull Escape is quite similar, except that carrying the key gives you a random skull effect, so it's more difficult to navigate to the exit gate. Crown Battle has returned, without too many changes. Its small variant has everyone spawning on the left and the crown on the right, much like it was in Bomberman Battles / Hardball. The Crown Battle music has also been given a new rendition. Merry-Go Crown has gotten rid of one of the conveyor belts for some reason. The random option will give us any of the 20 stages, but will not randomize whether we get a large or small variant. It also gives us a stage and then lets us set our rules and handicaps, like it did in Pack 1. That's 20 stages, just like we had in Pack 1, but things have changed. Mini-Mini is not removed per se, it's just become the small variant of normal. Unipass and Tripass are themed entirely around how the two screens are connected, so if every stage is to have a small variant, it doesn't make sense to have them, unless they split the bottom screen into two like they did for trapdoors, which they could have done, but they seem to want to have 20 stages, and they added some new ones, so a few stages with less interesting gimmicks had to go. Each of the alternate battle methods is to have just 2 stages instead of 3, so Full Power Crown and Kick Blocks are gone. Blocks is gone, while Zombie has been renamed Blocks, and Bomb is gone. Sorry, Bomb. We're left with 13 stages. Mix around the order, add the new ones, and we're back to 20 for Pack 2. Looking pretty good. A bunch of more interesting stages have replaced the less interesting ones. Bunch of new power-ups, though we're still far away from the stages and power-ups that DS had. Let's check out our online. Friend codes are still a thing, and we're assigned one if we connect once. New online music. We can update the ranking data on our console to see the top 8 players in the world. I don't know if this ranking has been running since the fan server was started or if it gets reset at any point, but these were the top 8 when I was recording, so congratulations to these guys. I do like how the LandTouch 2 manual puts characters from the game in the ranking. Instead of 4 options to end up together in a lobby that is going to be the same no matter which option we pick, we have separate things going on depending on whether we're playing with friends or randos. In Bomber Dojo, we can meet up with randos in a domestic battle, and I do like how North American LandTouch 2's manual says country, while European Story DS's manual says country or region, or we can look for players worldwide. Either way, the online still only goes up to 4 human players, and this time there are no AI players, it's human players only. Again, we can't set rules. It's always score with just one set. Instead of voting, a stage is just chosen randomly among all 20 stages. The ones with different battle rules are available this time, though it's always the small variant, never the large one. We can still spam emotes at the other players. After a match, we go back to the random stage select. Disconnected players will still stay in the lobby, but die at the start of every match, and the session ends when there's just one human player left. There was significantly less lag here than there was in Pack 1, so either my connection felt like doing a better job, or they improved the netcode for this one. Alrighty, let's try our improved friend battle. I still had to have every console add each other as a friend for them to be able to see each other, which was a bit tedious, but what you gonna do. Selecting friend battle, we can see if any of our registered friends is currently hosting a room, or start hosting ourselves. That's right, it's not just the exact same as a lobby with randos. We actually have a host who can set rules and stuff. It still only goes up to 4 players, and aside from that, no computers and no teams, just like in the last one. All options are available here. The whole smorgasbord. All stages with their large and small variants, all options, all handicaps. The host can set everything. After a match, we have the option to chat with each other. We can either type out messages with a whole bunch of letters and symbols available, or we can use preset messages for some common sentences like good game or I gotta go. As these are preset, they are automatically translated when sent. So this console is playing a Japanese version of Pack 2. I send a preset message in Japanese, and it appears in English on my other console. A third option is voice chat, with that crisp DS microphone quality. Hello.
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 Hello. I am Bomberman. Wonderful audio quality, is it not? I know, I'm one to talk.
Again, if someone disconnects, they will still remain in the session, forever dying at the start of every set. On the topic, in a local battle, this time around everyone gets an error if someone disconnects, which is a bit surprising. Overall, Battle Pack 2 has a much improved online compared to Pack 1. We can properly host now, we have better stages, more power-ups, though DS still had the most. As usual, no other iteration of the Battle Pack can connect to it, not in online either. Now normally, I would mention the next Bomberman game on the DS and what changes it made to the Battle Pack, but no. Because... Gachapin.
ガチャガチャピンピンガチャピンです。
もくもくのムックですぞー。
Is this the effect Sesame Street has on people who don't speak English? So, Gachapin is a dinosaur, apparently, and a popular character from Fuji TV, together with his friend Muku, or Mook, or whatever you want to call him. Here's their official YouTube channel. So popular, in fact, that there are some Gachapin video games on the DS that just happen to have been published by Hudson Soft. There's Gachapin Nikki, or Diary, and Gachapin Challenge DS. It appears to be a sort of a minigame collection, such as having this snowboard game here that I suck at, and we can tour Japan or something. Being published by Hudson Soft, Gachapin Challenge DS has a little something extra on the cartridge. Just a fun little bonus to have on the game. So, this is not this thing's first appearance. 1 year prior to this game's release, Bomberman and Gachapin had crossed over in an I-mode game, one of the 100 gazillion Bomberman games on that platform, and at least according to the summary on the Shrine Place here, to save his friend Muku, Gachapin fuses with Bomberman, resulting in this abomination from hell, which is semi-canon now. It has a story and everything. The I-mode game is advertised in Gachapin Challenge DS's manual, though Gachapin Challenge does not have a story for its Bomberman inclusion. We start the game, select a save file, choose the bottom left option here, Gachapon, or Gacha Bomber, and we find ourselves in what looks an awful lot like Battle Pack 2. Same menu music and all, though now we have Gacha Bomber head scrolling in the background. I told you they'd be important. I'm just going to call this one Gachapack. If you're like me and can't read Japanese, don't worry, the options are color-coded the same way they were in Pack 2. So having that running close by will help you get through the menus. First off, our main menu doesn't have Wi-Fi Connect. This pack can only be played locally. Our options have also decreased. We can check wins and losses, save a name, change our controls, and emotes are still here. And we can set our default match rules. The other options were friend code, friend roster, and ranking. With no online, it makes sense to remove them. Hosting a game, we see it only goes up to 4 players. It still does multi-cart play and download play at the same time, so one console running the game and another looking for us with download play can both connect for the session. Even with AIs, it's just 4 players. The option to fill all remaining slots is still here, as well as the very easy option from Pack 2, but there is no team select. Onwards, we see that we have just 5 stages, plus random. Also, our stage variants are gone. All stages are only the small variant on the bottom screen. Gotta have that multicolored Gacha Bomber gang on the top screen. Match options are also quite tuned down. No score option, only trophies. We can still determine the number of sets you need to win in the match, the time in each set, and a new option here of hearts. There's no handicap to start people off with power-ups, but we can start everyone with a certain number of hearts, up to 5. And they are displayed during the match. The game always has no skulls, no power downs or revenge, but pressure blocks are still on, starting at 30 seconds left on the clock, just like it was in Pack 2 for small variants. Spawns are randomized across all 8 spawn locations, even though we only have 4 players. No skull bomb power-ups, but skull bombs do still exist if we kick 2 bombs together. Okay, we have 5 stages, each with the same music. Normal is here, pipes, though the pipes seem to have been relegated to just roofs, lots of items, slip sliding, and crown battle of all stages, each with an aesthetic more akin to what was in the I-mode game. The random option, again, chooses a stage and then lets us choose options. And, well, that's it. No online, after all. So overall, Gachapack is a very watered-down, condensed version of Pack 2. And given the context, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not trying to replace Pack 2 as the definitive Bomberman battle mode on the DS or anything. It's trying to be a fun little bonus on an unrelated game, and that's cool too. As per usual, hosting Gachapack, no other Battle Pack version can connect to it. Alrighty, now the next Bomberman game on DS, Custom Battler Bomberman, renamed Bomberman 2 in Europe and not released in North America. The European title font is the same as the one they used for Bomberman DS in Europe, which led me to have another look at the title screens. Custom Battler has a copyright for 2008, the year the game came out in Japan, while the European version has 2005-2009. This version came out in 2009, but 2005 was the year Bomberman DS came out. So maybe they renamed it to Bomberman 2 so they could piggyback off the copyright for Bomberman DS they already had instead of filing for a new one? I don't know how copyright stuff works. It's also one of the few DS games that supports the DS Rumble Pack of all things, as the Rumble Pack must be put into the GBA slot of the original DS and DS Lite. It can't be used used with a DSi or 3DS, as they don't have that slot. Custom Battler is the last non-mobile Bomberman campaign made by Hudson Soft before the Konami acquisition. Its main gimmick is focused around finding equipable armor parts scattered about the stages that give you different base stats and abilities. All of this carries over to the game's Versus mode. That is, from the main menu, don't choose Battle Mode, go for Mission Mode, and then Versus mode to find the game's internal battle mode that uses the mechanics from the campaign. It goes up to 4 players. Sadly, there is no download play here, no online mode either, only multi-cart play. Every player has to have their own cartridge, and they have access to the parts that they unlocked on their cartridge. Furthermore, the Japanese and European versions aren't compatible with each other, so you have to make sure everyone is running the same regional version. This seems odd to me. The only difference between the versions besides language is that 3 of the special costumes were reskinned together with their ability icons. It's only a graphical change though, they are functionally identical, at least as far as I've tried. Seems to me they should be cross-compatible, but alas they aren't. There are 30 stages, 29 of which you have to unlock in the campaign, and if just one of the players has it unlocked, it will be available. With all the mechanics of the campaign available here, this is objectively the most mechanically extensive Bomberman battle game, outside of a certain fan game. But sadly, it's more obscure due to not being in North America and requiring everyone to have a cartridge. So much so that's, to my knowledge, the only existing footage of the Versus mode is from the trailer and from me, as of making this video. The only people I've heard of who have played the Versus mode themselves are myself, my sister, and some guy I met at a con recently. It would be amazing to explore this mode more, but I'd best be moving on to this game's battle pack. Here in the title screen, we pick Battle Mode and find what looks a lot like Battle Pack 2 again, except there's an extra option in the main menu, and instead of bomber heads, the background has scrolling bombs. So this isn't quite Battle Pack 2. The manual goes out of its way to say it isn't cross-compatible with past battle packs included on the Land Touch games. The music is the exact same as Pack 2 though. Speaking of which, I have been told that the internal name for the sound file in Pack 2 included BBP2, probably Bomberman Battle Pack 2, while Custom Battler here has BBP2P. So, Bomberman Battle Pack 2 Plus? The game and manual have no standardized name for this pack, aside from just calling it the Battle Mode. We need to call it something, so I'm just gonna go with Battle Pack 2 Plus. For the most part, we have the same things we had in Pack 2. Multi-cart and download play at the same time. Japanese and European versions are cross-compatible in this mode. Team options, stages, stage sizes, random option, emotes. One new thing in the controls is that we can turn emotes off, which means we can't send them anymore, and when other players send them, we just won't hear it. The stages are the same names, same order, same music, same size variants. Skull bombs are here. There is one notable change though that kinda baffles me. Okay, so remember how in DS and Pack 1 there was a blocks stage, where if you die, you retain your colored blocks but are removed from the set or put in a revenge cart, and the zombie stage where if you're hit, you lose your colored panels and respawn. And then in Pack 2 there was only the zombie stage, though it was renamed blocks. Well, here in Pack 2 Plus, it's sort of a combination of blocks and zombie, where if you're hit, you lose your colored panels, but instead of respawning, you end up in a revenge cart or are removed from the set. Revenge bombs can still color in panels though. This rule applies to dark blocks too. Take a hit, lose your panels, end up in a revenge cart. Pack 2 had revenge carts disabled for the dark stages because you couldn't die, only respawn. Here in Pack 2 Plus, we see that if you're in a revenge cart, you can see the entire dark stage. This also carries over to star battles. Instead of losing your stars and respawning, if you're hit, you lose your stars and go to a revenge cart if it's turned on, otherwise you're removed. Again, in the dark stage, people in revenge carts can see the whole stage. I'm not sure why they tweaked this, but it is what it is. Our online has not changed either. Up to 4 players, host a game or find out if a friend is hosting. We can check the ranking and see a different ranking than Pack 2. Now the manual specifies the rankings are updated every month. This was not specified in Pack 2's manual, so I can't say for certain if this is a change. Either way, when I updated, I saw these two fellows and myself in the rankings, so if any of these two people are watching, you guys are cool. In the Bomber Dojo, we have our domestic and world battles, and the new addition of Rival Battle, to fight against people with a similar ranking score. Other than that, it's the same. Stage is selected randomly, only small variants. If one player disconnects, their character is still in the lobby but dies instantly. Oh yeah, and offline, if one person disconnects, everyone gets an error again. Let's look at our biggest addition here on the main menu. Bomberman for Beginners. There aren't many Bomberman tutorials out there, so among the few official ones, this is one of the best along with the one from Blast in Japan. Through 26 small lessons grouped into 3 chapters, we are taught some very basic things like placing bombs, avoiding them, throwing it around the world, kickstop, good stuff. And we have some more renditions of the battle music from the game, including one from the Generation battle music. That's about all the changes though. Pack 2 Plus really isn't all that different, so I have to ask, is it worth it? Sure, you want to iterate on stuff and improve it, but is it worth sacrificing your cross-compatibility? It seems to me the tutorial and maybe the option to turn off emotes could have been implemented without making it incompatible with Pack 2, but that small stage tweak to blocks and stars definitely changes how the game is played, so of course it can't be cross-compatible. As usual, hosting from Pack 2 Plus, no other battle pack can connect to it. Finally, we reach Itsudemu Bomberman, or Bomberman Blitz, released on DSiWare and later the 3DS eShop. As of writing, DSiWare has been shut down. The eShop is still running, though adding funds to it requires a few extra steps. But once it shuts down, the only way to get this game running on your console will be through questionable means. Many people will tell you that this is Battle Pack 2, including myself in the past. Why did YouTube have to get rid of annotations? They were great for making corrections, now I have to hope people read the pinned comment. But this is not quite Battle Pack 2 or 2 Plus. Upon booting the game, we now have a title screen for it. As it is a standalone release instead of being included on another game, it gets its own title screen. Here we have the option to go back to the DSi menu, or 3DS menu if it's on the 3DS, and to open the digital manual. No physical release means no physical manual. The manual is here in the game. Our scrolling background is not bomber heads, not gotcha bomber heads, not bombs, but both bomber heads and bombs. The color is a bit different too. Our options haven't changed, but the icon for the L and R buttons on the controls have a camera on them now, reflecting the console this pack was made for. Immediately, let's try connecting some consoles, where we see that there is no download play. Tangent time here. So the DSi is often viewed as just a part of the DS family, and then the step goes from DS to 3DS. But in some situations, it might be more apt to view the DSi as an in-between step between the DS/DS Lite and the 3DS. There were a few physical game releases that were only for the DSi and don't work on a regular DS, and of course it has the DSiWare shop for digital downloads, such as Blitz. Thus, Blitz is kinda technically a DSi game and not a DS game. Even if I load Blitz onto a DS using questionable means, it won't boot properly. I've read it is possible to run with some extra steps though. Either way, a DSi can use DS download play to download DS games, but technically this is a DSi game, and there is no DSi download play. Even on a 3DS, the options are 3DS download and DS download, no DSi download. And yes, I've tried it either way. Hosting from both a 3DS and a DSi, none of my other consoles will find them hosting from their download screens. 3DS download doesn't work either. So our battle pack has gone from using only download play to using everything but download play. Funny how that works. For local multiplayer, we're left with multi-cart play, meaning every console has to have a digital copy of the game in order to participate. Hey, at least the Japanese, North American, and European versions are cross-compatible. Team Battle is gone. Wow, that's been with us since DS, but nope, we can't play in teams anymore. Well, teams never were an option in any of the online modes, so maybe if this one was more aimed at online, they decided to get rid of it for local battles too? And here we are. 10 stages. Just 10. We still have large and small variants, but yeah, that's half the stages gone, including all the ones with other battle methods like Stars and Crown. I mean, Blocks and Crown Battle were also with us since DS, and now they're gone. The 8 stages from Pack 2 that used one of the alternate battle methods are gone, as are Full Power and Inferno, leaving us with these 10 stages, and they all have the same music, just the regular battle stage music we've had in Pack 2. Well, there is a change to the random option. It used to be that if we choose random, it selects a stage, and then we set the match rules, and the whole match consisting of one or more sets is played on that stage. But now instead of random, we have shuffle, which doesn't tell us which stage we're in until after we set the match rules, more the way DS did things. But where in DS we couldn't change all that much, since different stages had some options turned off, here all 10 stages allow for all options, so we can set everything, and set our handicaps. Even farther than that, our confirmation screen says we're in Shuffle, so we only find out what stage we're in when the first set starts. The big change is that the stage is randomized for every set played within one match, so even if you're in one stage, you could end up in another one within the same match. In our online menu, we no longer have the option to go directly to our internet settings. We have to exit the game to set that up. Note that if you're on a 3DS, this game will use your 3DS internet settings, not your DS internet settings, so make sure you set that up correctly. Our online is much of the same as offline, just the 10 stages, use friend codes and hosts to set rules, but no option to chat after a match. I mean, come on, that was fun! And in Bomber Dojo, Rival Battle has been removed for some reason. We're left with Domestic and World, so only what was in Pack 2. Rival was only in Pack 2+. At least our ranking is still here. Congrats to all these guys. Quite a lot more people here than in the other packs. Other than that, I guess we have our tutorial again, Bomberman for Beginners, without any changes. Many people think the tutorial debuted on Blitz, when really it debuted on Custom Battlers Pack 2+. Though that didn't release in North America, so technically the tutorial did debut on Blitz in that region. So, wow. Blitz is actually quite a downgrade compared to past packs. Really weird to end our saga on this. There were no more Bomberman games on handheld consoles after this, up until SBR on the Switch if you count it. Looking at the material of the cancelled Bomberman 3DS that we have, its battle mode seems completely redone from the ground up instead of being an iteration on the battle packs. So yeah, looks like they weren't planning on iterating on it any more than what we have in Blitz. Unless they were going to have 2 separate battle modes like they did in Custom Battler, but really nobody knows. Again, I will host from Blitz and have all other packs running, and none of them can find each other. So no matter who's hosting, the 6 versions of the battle pack are not cross-compatible. Just in case there was any doubt, I also tested the online. Here I have all 4 versions of the battle pack that had an online mode, Pack 1, 2, 2+, and Blitz. All are connected to the server and looking for randos worldwide, and they aren't finding each other. I even tested it with friend codes. I took the time to try each code on each other pack here, and no. Every time I got an invalid code message. The online modes are completely separated from each other. So let's try to summarize. DS supported download play and nothing else. It went up to 8 players. It had 30 stages, the largest base number of all the packs. It had 2 alternate battle methods, Crown and Paint. It had the most power-ups by far, a slot machine, and even had some microphone gimmicks. Battle Pack 1 was included on all versions of Land Touch 1 and Japanese Story DS. It supported download play and multi-cards play, but not at the same time. It had only 20 stages, got rid of any use of the microphone, the slot machine, and got rid of a ton of power-ups. It did, however, have an online mode, albeit a very limited one, where everyone is in a lobby and nobody is the host to set rules and stuff. The online mode goes up to 4 human players, with the rest being filled with AIs. Battle Pack 2 was included on all versions of Land Touch 2 and the European version of Story DS. It has download play and multi-cart play at the same time, same number of stages as Pack 1 but with large and small variants, and had a larger variety. It added 2 more battle methods, Stars and Escape. It re-added some power-ups, but is still a long way from what DS had, though it did have Heart as a handicap, which DS didn't have in the battle mode. Its online still has the mode with everyone in a lobby, but without AIs this time. In addition, it has a more traditional online mode up to 4 players where someone can host and set rules, with everything from offline available except AIs and team options. It also had the option to chat with text presets, and the microphone between matches. Gachabomber, or Gachapack, whatever, was a very condensed version of Battle Pack 2 included on Gachapin Challenge DS. It supports download and multi-cart play at the same time. It has 5 stages from Pack 2, even one of the crown stages, no sides variants, no online, no teams, and only goes up to 4 players. Battle Pack 2 Plus, or whatever we're gonna call it, was included on Custom Battler Bomberman and its European release, Bomberman 2. It is pretty much Battle Pack 2, except there's a tutorial now and some very minor gameplay and option changes. Finally, there's Blitz, not supporting download play, only multi-cart and online, with just 10 stages, no teams, a different random option, but no alternate battle methods. It has the tutorial from 2 Plus, but only kept some changes from 2 Plus while rolling back others. So, what's our takeaway from all this? My hot take? Which of these is best? Well, not Gachapack. It's a fun little addition on a different game, which is fine, just not the definitive Bomberman battle mode on DS. I really wish I could say Blitz, as the last one, is the best, but wow, they got rid of so much stuff from earlier packs while not adding anything that earlier packs didn't have, except a different random mode, I guess. I have to disqualify it. Pack 1 has fewer stages and power-ups than DS, and fewer online stuff than Pack 2, so I have to disqualify that one too. Pack 2 Plus is technically a direct upgrade from Pack 2, though not by much, and wasn't available in North America, although it isn't region-locked. Just importing a cartridge will work. I can't rightly disqualify anymore. DS had more variety in power-ups and microphone gimmicks, while Packs 2 and 2 Plus have more stage variety, even with a smaller base number of stages, and the best online mode. Looking at this as a whole, if I had done this differently, I would have stopped at Pack 2. The tutorial from 2 Plus could have been implemented elsewhere. 2 Plus really didn't need to be a separate thing that isn't cross-compatible, and Blitz should have been straight up Battle Pack 2 with crossplay. It should have been what many people think it was. The goal of the Battle Pack was to have cross-compatibility between games, but they kept iterating on it, to a fault in my opinion. DS to Pack 1, sure, sacrifice some stuff so you have an online. Pack 1 to Pack 2 was necessary too, added a ton of stuff, but after that, none of the iterations were worth it. Had they stayed with Pack 2, all other Bomberman games would have had cross-compatibility, and there would have been one much larger united online game next to Pack 1's more limited one, instead of having 4 different online games that aren't compatible. Ends up destroying the very thing they were trying to achieve here. But okay, I gotta end this somehow. Which games did you have growing up? Did you learn something new? Did you have fun times with download play? I hope you all have a wonderful day. Also, let's get your butts over here and let's have a custom battler versus mode tournament.